Canada has a unique healthcare system, and sometimes it can be complicated to navigate. Canada's healthcare system is made up of 13 separate provincial and territorial programs and 6 additional federal plans, making healthcare in Canada a shared responsibility between the federal, provincial, and territorial governments. A drug can take as long as a decade to develop, and our regulatory review bodies might take as many as 5 more years to conduct thorough reviews. So what's going on during that time, and how do medical treatments get from clinical trials to a public insurance plan? Once a pharmaceutical manufacturer has created a new treatment or molecule, they must take it through clinical trials before bringing it to market in Canada. These trials evaluate whether a drug works and whether it's safe. A drug can take years to develop and study, with clinical trials often involving hundreds of people testing the drug. Manufacturers will create many molecules, but only those that prove effective during clinical trial are developed further. Some molecules are developed and never advance to become a treatment. It is important to consider that treatment development costs a lot of money, and manufacturers will generally seek to recoup those costs. When the manufacturer is confident that they have a competitive, effective treatment, they will submit the drug, along with clinical trial data, to Health Canada for review. Health Canada reviews the drug to determine if it provides clinical benefit and if it is safe. Once Health Canada concludes that a drug is safe and likely to provide clinical benefit, it is approved for sale on the market and can appear on private insurance plans. However, if a drug is to be listed in most of Canada's public formularies, the process is long from over. These are the public drug plans that many Canadians depend on in order to access essential medications. After Health Canada approval, the drug in question is reviewed by another body, the Canadian Agency for Drugs and Technology in Health, or CTAC. This agency is funded by the federal and provincial governments except Quebec, which has an independent process. CTAC oversees a process called the Common Drug Review, or CDR, which conducts a review called Health Technology Assessment, or HTA. Many countries conduct HTAs, and there are different ways to measure health technologies. An HTA is conducted not just on medications and drugs, but also on any health technology, like a new pacemaker design, for example. Ultimately, the Common Drug Review seeks to answer the question, is this treatment cost-effective, and will it provide improved clinical benefits to Canadians? The Common Drug Review will assess the drug for listing on public insurance plans and must conclude whether it can provide equal or improved clinical benefit compared to its cost, and whether that makes it more cost-effective than similar treatments. How much money should be spent to achieve how much clinical benefit? Once the CDR concludes its assessment, it sends a recommendation to all health plans, federal, provincial, and territorial, as to whether or not the provinces should cover the cost of this medication and list it on their plan. The CDR will suggest that the provinces either A. list the treatment, B. list the treatment with clinical criteria and/or conditions, C. not list the treatment at the submitted price, or D. not list the treatment at all. Most treatments do not get an unconditional listing suggestion, and the majority are either not recommended for listing or recommended with conditions. In fact, in many of their reviews, the CDR has rejected or suggested not to list at a manufacturer's submitted price. Listing recommendations from the CDR are not binding or final. The provinces and territories receive the recommendation and are free to review the drug against their own standards or make their own conclusion from the Health Canada and CDR reviews. This allows provinces to realize local priorities and more closely manage provincial healthcare needs based on their budgets and populations. Each province does this independently, as each is the public payer of their respective province or territory. While many provinces and territories conduct their own reviews, some smaller provinces tend to follow the CDR recommendation and list or not list accordingly. As new drugs are developed and new needs are realized, provinces and territories must be vigilant to maintain a public listing that addresses contemporary local realities and responsibilities. Often, older treatments must be considered against newer treatments to see which contributes the most value for the most reasonable cost. This system is designed to review and respond to new treatments as they are developed, while allowing room for both price evaluation and regional healthcare priorities. Conducting HTA reviews at several levels with room for conditions allows provinces and territories more control over their public plans and healthcare mandates, while still allowing Health Canada and the CDR to review every treatment at the federal level. Timely and reasonable access to effective and safe medicines is a healthcare priority for Canadians, and while the processes described here account for cost, safety, and efficacy, some critics worry that they are redundant, duplicative, and very costly. Additionally, some critics note that the multiple points of review have resulted in some drugs being available on some public plans, but not others. Therefore, not all Canadians have access to the same treatment options. Is there a better way to realize our healthcare priorities at a reasonable price without rushing our review of safety and efficacy?